Hello, my name is Dorothea and I'm at home in Passau, the beautiful Three Rivers city that you see right below me, at the very confluence of the Danube, the Inn River and the Ilz. We are in Germany, on the border to Austria, and I welcome you today to join me on a lovely stroll through my hometown. Let's explore. My home, Passau, is a beautiful city in Lower Bavaria, on the border to Austria, a stone throw away from the Czech Republic. We are in the border triangle, or the Three Nations corner, and we do have this interesting shape. The town is shaped like a tongue of land, like a peninsula. Thus it's called the floating city. It is 50,000 locals that we are, so it's a pretty small place, and you can't get lost really, because there is always water. There are our three rivers that guide you back home to the ship. On a clear day like today, you can see the confluence of our rivers. You can see the Danube in the foreground. That's where the Viking cruise ships dock. They do dock literally in the heart of the town. While in the greyish-green river, that's the Inn River, from the mountains. It flows in Passau into the Danube, right there where the small trees are. See? That's the Three Rivers corner, the confluence point. I'll take you in a moment on a stroll, and we'll be on the peninsula, where we do explore the small alleys and cobblestone streets of this town. And it's not just the most beautiful alleys. No, this town is known for so many cafes and restaurants and beer gardens. We do have so many gorgeous churches that are always worthwhile a visit. And it's as well museums where you can go into detail when it comes to our history that is over 2,000 years old. And for the ones that say, I'm a bit into shopping, we do have the most beautiful shops with local delicacies, sweet treats, for example, most enjoyable. I'm walking now, I'm starting our stroll. I'm walking from this viewpoint through the castle grounds. On top of the peninsula we are, and it's the most enjoyable walk. I'm right now at the fortress Oberhaus, situated on top of the Three Rivers city Passau. It's always worthwhile a hike up to, because in the castle you do find a museum where you can literally dive into the 2,000 years of history. For the ones that say, I'd rather go for a typical traditional Bavarian beer, there is a restaurant just around the corner offering the most beautiful panoramic views and the most delicious Bavarian traditional meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Actually, that's where I'm heading towards to right now. Join me, come with me. Here we are now. This is where we have a rather typical late Bavarian breakfast. Here you can see me pouring my husband a beer. We are in southern Germany, we are in Bavaria, and it is, part of the tradition. Our Weiss beer, so many different types of beer we have. Every town has its own breweries. See, the challenge is to get a lot of foam into this huge glass. Cheers, Prost! We've learned already beer is quite essential for a late Bavarian breakfast. Of course, a Brezen is too. You know, this delicious, you call it pretzel. Look at our German bread and the bread spread. Oberhaus, the one that is a bit orangey on the picture. It is cheese with butter, absolutely delicious. Court cheese with herbs. That's what I call breakfast. My husband is a bit more into the Bavarian sausage, the white sausage, Weißwurst. It is served with a Brezen and sweet mustard. The trick is to slice it into two halves, almost like a surgeon, and then you peel it out of its skin. This sausage is made out of veal, and you can see some greenish bits and pieces. Parsley. It's served with sweet mustard, almost like allow me to say, Bavarian chutney. Some sweet taste it has. Go for it. It's absolutely delicious. On our way from the fortress Oberhaus to the town, you do pass This Versailles-like castle, it used to be once in the hands of the bishops. Nowadays it is a school. That's where I went to. I know that's not the most important info. It's just such a lovely, lovely architectural design, isn't it? On our stroll through Passau, we're now about to enter a little bridge called Fünffallsteg. 5-cent bridge. They had to pay once 5 cents to cross it. It leads to Innstadt, a beautiful, not too well-known part of Passau. Standing on Fünffallsteg, you can see such a lovely panorama. All of the town right in front of us, with its many, many church towers. It's beautiful, almost crazy colours. And right below us, the Inn River from the mountains, it arrives to Passau. Today it's almost bluish green. It used to be like a highway, a literal highway. So many barges each and every day. Well, they were arriving to Passau, and on board so much salt, brimful of salt they used to be, the white gold of the past. It used to be the ultimate spice to preserve meat and fish. This is what brought money, wealth to this town. Well spent it was then by our bishops and artists from Italy. Crazy colours, beautiful designs, and this is what makes this town so extremely spectacular. This is Passau University. 12,000 students do study here. It's situated next to the Inn River, sparkling in the sun right now. Look at this. And normally it's packed with students. I used to be one of them. This university is known for cultural science, business administration, law studies, and the modern building seats attached to this very old monastery. The old meets the new. I'd say that's the perfect motto for this town. This alley is such a lovely example for Baroque style. These alternating angles, the colours, the lack of straight angles really makes it so spectacular. This town is over 2,000 years old, which is, I would say, so unbelievable. The first ones used to settle here long before the birth of Christ. The Celts were here, the Germanic tribes, the Romans around the birth of Christ. Well, and it is today's face of Passau that is so impressive, as it is dating back to the 17th century. Guess what? After a completely devastating town fire, it had to be completely rebuilt. And the style of the town was high Baroque, and that's what the Prince Bishops went for. Actually standing in front of the Cathedral of St. Stephen's right now, one of the highlights of Passau. Actually in there you do find the largest cathedral organ in the world, the largest pipe organ of Europe in general. And look at these onion domes, typical for high Baroque. The lack of straight angles, as we've learned. It is round, it's dramatic, it is almost as if you're looking at a Russian Orthodox structure, right? But it's truly Catholic. St. Stephen's, well, it was built by Italian artists right after a devastating town fire in the year 1662. I can highly recommend to go to one of these organ recitals that take place in the cathedral. It is half an hour where you can really enjoy music at its very best. Remember, it's the largest cathedral organ in the world that you do find in our cathedral. Look at me, how small I look next to the cathedral. Right behind me, the beautiful green onion again, one of our signature sites, literally. It is beautiful to stroll through the town, through these alleys, the winding streets of Passau. Join me, let's carry on. Actually, I'm standing now behind the cathedral. It dates back to 1662, and there has never been one day without a scaffolding. They're constantly repairing the cathedral. This scaffolding is literally rotating around it. This is one of the most beautiful squares that we have to offer. It is situated between the cathedral and the former residence of our bishops. Right behind me, you can see the former home of our Prince Bishop. You've heard right, Prince Bishop, quite a strange name. They used to be not just the bishops, but the political leaders of this town. Almost a bit like what you know from Salzburg, Würzburg, Bamberg. Nowadays it's a museum. It's way too many rooms for one bishop only, and it's a beautiful sight to visit. As I'm standing in front of the former private home of our bishops, let me show what they've seen all day long. Beautiful houses with the most beautiful colours. I mean, look at the yellow, look at the pink, at the very green building at the horizon. In the centre of the square, you do find the Fountain of Our Lady. On our residence square, you do find a rather unique museum called Dackel Museum, dedicated to the sausage dog, the legendary, beautiful sausage dog. Have a look, it's absolutely worthwhile a visit. Let's continue with our stroll. I take you now towards the water, towards the Danube, and see who's watching us. The patron saint of travellers, Saint Christopher. A beautiful arch on our way down to so-called Hell's Alley. I'm standing now in a street called Höllgasse, Hell's Alley. Lots of little studios. All the local artists do have their studios here. Look at these corners, these narrow streets. The arch is right on top of me. There's a lack of space. We're on a peninsula, don't forget. We know our neighbours pretty well, so to speak. And again, see a very special street, known for its beauty. We are standing below the castle Oberhaus, and I do walk you from there to our town hall, Rathaus, with its beautiful tower. Yes, and in case you do wonder now, what about the strange date that we see on the castle's facade? It's 1499, half an 8. Look at the scale next to me. These are the flood markers, and it just proves one thing: we are pretty often flooded. Look at 2013's date. We would have been underwater where we are standing right now. Passau has to deal with awfully many floods. You know what? We have 3 rivers here, so it is part of our location, part of our situation, as we are a peninsula. I'm standing now on the Danube, where the Viking cruise ships do normally dock. You can see the fortress Niederhaus behind me, connected with an interconnecting battlement with the fortress that we know already pretty well, Oberhaus. Remember where we had this delicious breakfast this morning. The Danube, well, it's the Blue Danube officially. Starting off in the Black Forest, it flows all the way down to the Black Sea through, guess what, 10 European countries in total. Behind the castle Niederhaus, the Ilz River does arrive to flow straight into the Danube, to be carried all the way towards where the Inn River is about to flow into the Danube. Unitedly, they carry on all the way down to the Black Sea. So we are now at the 3 rivers corner, or the official confluence of the 3 rivers. What a dramatic sky today. This is the Inn River that we're now approaching. It does come from Switzerland to here to flow in Passau into the Danube. You can see behind me the church known as the Pilgrimage Church of Our Lady. And look at this wall-like structure that leads from where we are, more or less on the other side of the river, in where we are, all the way up to the church. It is not a wall, it's a staircase, a pilgrimage staircase, which means it's 321 steps, and you have to pray on each step. Actually, a Hail Mary. And after 10 Hail Marys, a Lord's Prayer, to finally and eventually make your way all the way to the chapel. 321. That's a major, major challenge, isn't it? When you walk along the Inn River, you do end up at the so-called Scheiblingsturm, a former salt tower for storage exclusively. So there was always this reminder of the glorious past of Passau, situated at 3 rivers, being once busy, so busy with trade on the water. Strolling along the Inn River is beautiful. It's highly relaxing. We call it the Italian promenade, and you can always sit somewhere and just take it all in. The townscape, the scenery, it's just beautiful. Passau and its gorgeous details. Look at these arches on top of me. Look at the ironwork. Well, and make sure when you do come visit me in my hometown, Passau, to wear your flats. Look at these cobblestone streets. They are everywhere. Literally everywhere. They look beautiful, yes, but they are tough on the ankles, believe me. So please leave your high heels at home. When you do explore Passau, make sure to look up. Look at this balcony on top of me. The angels, the roses, the ironwork. Yes, and in case you have a thing for doors, you'll find so many beautiful examples, like the one behind me. Look at this. We've come now to the end of this lovely stroll through my beautiful hometown, Passau. I'll take you now to dinner with me. So I'll go home and change, and I'll meet you there, right? We are having dinner at my favorite restaurant called Culinarium, and this is Abdel Monaam that welcomes us. Well, it's dinner time now. Thanks for joining me. Cheers to you. Cheers to Christoph, one of my closest friends sitting right next to me. The cuisine of the restaurant Culinarium stands for this very modern way to cook nowadays in Germany, the fusion of Mediterranean, Arabic and German influences, and an owner that is strictly into local, seasonal, regional products. Have a taste of today's Germany. It's delicious. It has been a fantastic day with you. Thanks for strolling through the town with me, and thanks for having dinner with me. Hope to see you soon in my lovely hometown Passau on one of the Viking ships. Bye bye, or as we say, auf Wiedersehen.